All right, welcome to the Beach Brothers Show. I'm Seko Varner. I'm here with my good friend Conrad. I like how you have that
Yeah,
Conrad Schesventer.
it's
And
easier
at the
to
very
say
end, we have my good brother Jose Cruz. So look, we're the Beach Brothers. We all live in Virginia Beach. We love Virginia, and we love Virginia business and politics. So on our show, we talk about business and politics as they relate to Virginia. Our special guest Merle Rutledge will be tapping in a little later on today. But before we get started with our guest speaker, our guest for tonight, let's kind of see what's happening in the Hampton Roads area. Jose, tell us a little bit about our sponsor for tonight. Who's our sponsor for tonight?
Our sponsor for the night, Seko, is going to be Used Tire Express. And it's a great location for you guys to go in, stop in, get a great deal on tires. They got all different sizes. And they got great deals on rims as well. They got 5 different locations. To stop in at 1788 Virginia Beach Boulevard, right here in Virginia Beach. Stop in and see Steven or Jason and tell them Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you.
All right, that's good, man. Used tires. I need to get some used tires. I think I purchased from them years ago. So you said they have 5 locations, right?
Yes, sir.
So they have one in Virginia
North
Beach Boulevard.
Battlefield, Virginia Beach Boulevard, North Battlefield Road, North Battlefield Boulevard, Indian River Road, Holland Road, and they also have one on North Road Street in Elizabeth City.
Okay, good stuff, man. Good stuff. I think I went to their Indian River store when I got some used tires. Good stuff. All right, we want to thank Used Tire Express for being tonight's sponsor. You can see their website. I have it in the photo here, and check out their information. What's the best number to contact Used Tires and Express?
The best number to contact them is the 757-961-1244. And like I said, tell them Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you.
All right, all right. So let's kind of talk some local politics. So, what's the big talk here in the Hampton Roads area, Conrad? Conrad is he's our I don't want to call him the legal beagle. He's our politicio. Yeah, he's our head politician, the Beach Brothers show. So, what's happening in the Hampton Roads area?
I want to correlate this to the fact that I work at an oceanfront hotel, and the calls that I keep getting the most about what is open at Virginia Beach. And this is all in relation to entering phase 2, which I think will be tomorrow, Friday. Phase 2 will have to feature for, say, Virginia Beach oceanfront, an update on the restaurants and even the pool policies, and some outdoor recreation is going to be more open, as you would say, at the beach. You can even eat indoors now. And at the hotel, we're even trying to figure out how we're going to be able to open up our pool. All this was part of a earlier in the week executive order, which means that we're getting closer and closer to fully opening up Virginia's economy. And we're really going to need that here in Virginia Beach for the tourism sector. And I will say that it felt quite busy today, not as busy as June's of the past, but a lot more walk-in traffic. So that was a good thing. A lot more phone calls, a lot more online reservations for the upcoming weekend. So I'd like to think we turned a little bit of a corner.
All right. So it looks like we're opening up Virginia. I remember those posts and rallies. I think a lot of the Tea Party members were even saying it heavily, open up Virginia. So it's starting to happen slowly. Have you noticed from some of the political groups in the Hampton Roads area, their responses to the opening of Virginia? Are the Tea Party members happier about the progress? Republican Party, the Democrat Party has seemed to not be in as much of a rush to open up Virginia as the Tea Party and the Republican Party. What about the Libertarian Party? What are they saying about opening up Virginia?
Conceptually, you would want to think that the Libertarian Party wouldn't want any of these rules at all, either on the state level or the municipal level with the mayor making decrees that would seem to want to shut down parts of the economy. So the Tea Party League of People, Libertarian League of People, Greater Republicans, they would seem like they would be against it, even if it's in the public good. And I will say that even though it was done with the vein of public support and public health in mind, even more the Democrat side has seemed to stop talking about it as much as just weeks past, but that's probably because we've changed our mind to a more pressing topic, one would say.
Okay. All right. Councilman Aaron Rouse suspended his mayoral campaign. What's the talk of that town?
I'm not entirely sure why he wanted to drop out too much. I did read his explanation. It was, very optimistic. I would always like to say that his candidacy was always one that would bring hope and pointing forward for Virginia Beach with Aaron Rouse. Though right now I would say that he must have felt that it was more important to focus on city health and wanting to not to distract too much of Virginia Beach voters in a negative public safety, like by him doing a lot of campaigning. At least that was what the feel assumed was out of his declaration to not want to run for that anymore. On the plus side, that means that he does not have to resign his seat that he already had for at-large, which he would have had to have done if he committed to running for the mayor's seat. And what that would just do is, as of right now at 7:21 on a Thursday in June, I think the only candidate I know that's running for mayor is the incumbent Bobby Dyer. Though I will imagine that there are going to be other names that come out of the woodwork in the next several days, because the filing deadline's, I think, within a week. But I will say that I would have really have liked for Aaron to go forth, because I really think he's just a great overall person.
You think he's a great overall person. What do you think about his politics?
Well, he's been, I would say, brave is the word. I've been to as many city council meetings as I could personally go to prior to COVID sort of shutting him down over the past 2 years. And he is the councilman who would get a lot of gruff from some of the other people who come to speak diligently on certain topics. And he's always very poised. And I like that aspect a leader would be a good word for that. I think he could lead the city overall and sort of bridge a lot of gaps if people are also willing to be as poised as he is.
Okay. I saw him recently make a comment about being rightfully upset with the riots, but people needing to be also as upset with the reason behind the riots. And I know that some of the civil unrest at the beach is something that you were thinking about, Jose. What did you hear about the civil unrest at our beach?
Well, from what I've heard and from what I've seen on the news, I mean, it's been crazy at the oceanfront. I mean, Sunday night it started out as peaceful protests, and by the end of the night they had Virginia Beach SWAT team out there and people getting tear gassed, and I mean it was crazy. It was something like out of a movie. Like, if I would have saw that, I would have never thought that you would see that at the Virginia Beach oceanfront. But I guess there's the first
Conrad,
time
you made a post.
I made a lot of it.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I would say there's a second time for everything. I was at Virginia Beach back in the 90s.
Right.
And I remember how horrific that situation was. I remember how it was treated back then. And so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'll leave it at that. But you had an interesting comment in one of your posts recently, Conrad, as we're waiting for Merle. So Merle, tap in. We're ready to talk with you, good brother. We want to see what your gubernatorial race has waiting for 2021. So with that being said, your post about comparing Norfolk and Virginia Beach's response to the protests. What was your comment? And let's talk about that.
Well, the protest really started late last week, and I even went to attend one that was in Norfolk that occurred simultaneously with one in Hampton. And I will note that there were noticeable road closures associated with those particular protests. The one I attended near the Martin Luther King Memorial in Norfolk had that area sort of cordoned off very calmly by police, almost like they were a part of the protest, even though more of the protesters were doing the walking. They were doing the holding of the signs, yelling what they needed to yell, and importantly, the silence part too. And I will note you carried that into Hampton at the same time, and they had even closed parts of the interstate for the protest, but there wasn't a noticeable reaction by government authority so much as just trying to help cars and the protesters at the same time.
Right.
So then comes the ocean. And I was there at the start of it because I filmed many videos of it, about 3 total videos of where it walked past 21st Street going north. And at some point it looped back around coming back south. And there was a lot of people as part of it. And the cops helped clear the Atlantic Avenue for them to be able to walk and help clear some of the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Then again, we really need to clear the sidewalks because people also joined in the protest that they suddenly realized was happening. And then I actually was able to leave the beach. I left the beach, and then there was you could say the massive government response, where it's the police come in behind them. A lot of the protesters didn't realize it and sort of box them in. I think I even read a portion of the pilot online that said former Chief Severa had noted that it was believed that tear gas was initiated by the protesters as opposed to the police. And, I naturally would have such an opinion. Of course, I also wasn't there, so I don't know. I was at home watching the actual feed. So that happens. Then it was part of the overall reaction of the state where it's like, okay, these are different types of protests than we've seen before, so we need to institute like a statewide curfew. And like nights later in Virginia Beach, you would have town center protests right on the corner of Independence and Boulevard. There's a Taco Bell there. I will note that's the same location that a lot of the more Tea Party individuals chose for their Open Virginia protest not several weeks ago. And I observed that as well. And I had noticed that there was also a police response to that, but that was more to remind them of social distancing rules. And they weren't arrested and told that they were going to be thrown to the ground for violating this. And they ended up walking away. But I also shared video.
Wait. So when our Tea Party family had a protest, we're just going to remind you of social distancing. When the protest isn't primarily our Tea Party family, it's a experience very different, kind of similar to how things were so constrained for something in the water. Is that what you're?
Also note in the videos that I shared the type of police response that there was, because you see in the beginning of the videos, people on the corner holding signs, chanting, and that's exactly what the Open Virginia people were doing too. Only their signs were more about how Northam is a tyrant or something like that. These are signs that were promoting being against police brutality, and then suddenly 5 to 10 local police cars show up, big, huge black vans, state police. They park in the middle of Virginia Beach Boulevard and Independence, right at the intersection, jump out and start running at the protest, and then they start running too. It's a completely different type of reaction to protesting. Granted, it was after a curfew, but that type of reaction to different laws that are being broken, set by the governor, Open Virginia versus a curfew. And then, of course, we also mentioned that there was also another protest the following night in Norfolk that once again closed down part of a interstate 264. but they were not swarmed. And they were not treated so aggressively like they were at Town Center.
Right.
There were discrepancies, and that's what I was trying to highlight.
What's interesting is the beach has a stigma of not being very welcoming. As a matter of fact, our mayor, Bobby Dyer, mentioned while he was campaigning and after he began, leading our city, that he wanted to make sure that people knew that Virginia Beach was open and welcoming. And so that it's just kind of interesting. I know that we need to protect our city. We need to protect our property. We need to protect citizens.
You don't protect citizens by being so aggressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that may just show you that violence does solve problems.
That's a very philosophical way to look at it.
That creates a bigger problem.
Yeah.
It's
well, look, we were waiting for Merle Rutledge, and I know that most of our viewers are tapping in to speak with Merle Rutledge, gubernatorial candidate for 2021. He hasn't shown up yet, and we're not sure why. There are probably some technical issues that are preventing him. He is trying. There are probably some technical issues. So this is the internet. Everybody's online right now. So what are your thoughts on Merle Rutledge's messaging? Before we'll give him another few minutes, and then we'll continue. But on his gubernatorial run, his messaging is what do you think about it so far?
I have only had the chance to see him in sort of the same light others may see me, in the sense that they go a lot to city council meetings. Only I've seen him speak in different cities, city council meetings. Of course, he's running for governor, so he needs to be all over the state. And he was also at the same one where we were all talking about gun sanctuary cities. And he was a very prominent voice for pro-gun rights, which is why if you're running for governor, especially on the Republican ticket, you would want to get your voice out on that particular matter. He is very unique, to say the least, and I'm glad at least he wants to come on.
All right. It's his messaging here, so we're clear. Rutledge for governor 2021. And is that a assault rifle?
Well, the gun rights activists would probably say that that's a term that has very little meaning, assault rifle. But in any case, that's a very impressive looking gun. You could say that.
It'll get your attention.
Okay.
Yes, it will.
Hey, sorry about that, everybody.
And
it took me all day to get the situation straightened out.
But I'm glad
Can
you're
y'all
on.
hear me?
I can hear you.
ladies and gentlemen, Merle Rutledge, give it up. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
Everybody up here and stuff like that. Having technical difficulty trying to get the microphone working, but I'm back on point right now.
Good.
Okay. I have on my Republican red today, since you're a Republican.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Can you hear us? I'm getting the impression he can't
Okay,
hear us.
great. I can hear you too.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Beautiful. I was saying that I have on my Republican red. I thought I'd represent for today and put on the red. The last show I had on blue. She was a Democrat, so I'm just switching it up a little bit. I see you wearing a Trump hat, man. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Yes, yeah, support Trump, support the agenda. I have comments, so especially when it deals with liberal media more. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm actually going to log on to a better phone because I'm hearing y'all, but it's also kind of like back and forth a little bit with the audio and stuff like that. Can y'all shut that other one?
All right, all right. So we do have gubernatorial candidate Merle Rutledge, who is joining us on the Beach Brothers show tonight. And in just a moment, we're going to allow our good friend, our comrade, Conrad, introduce our candidate for tonight.
Well, since he's about ready to be on at any given moment, I'll lead off with a good introduction. The Beach Brothers have luckily had on congressional candidates, city council candidates, school board candidates, even Senate candidates. And tonight is the first candidate for a state office. Merle Rutledge Jr. is running for the Republican ticket for Virginia governor in 2021. It's noteworthy he's a poli-sci graduate from Norfolk State, so we better behold the green and gold there, Seko. He's been a volunteer with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Urban League, and Centera. He's worked for community interests on varying government levels, and he's looking to become the CEO of Virginia government. So when Mr. Merle pops back on, I would want to begin by asking you about your inspiration. Why the governor, and why race in 2021?
All right, great. Merle, can you hear us?
Well, yeah. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So the question was, what's the question again, Conrad? Why are you running in 2021?
Your inspiration for running for governor in 2021, yes.
Yes, I think a lot of people are tired of the typical Republican that's running for office, or even a typical politician that's running for office at this time period. People want somebody who's going to deliver on their promises, who's not going to play games, who's not going to lie to them, and they're looking for somebody who's going to show leadership, especially during a time of crisis. I believe I had that type of leadership ability. I'm straight to the point. I'm a straight shooter, and I'm definitely here to win. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. So what I'm going to do, Merle, I'm going to kick you off. I want you to log back on, and hopefully we'll have a better connection because we definitely want to hear what you bring to the table, okay? All right. All right. So while Merle is bringing himself back on, we had a question about the protest. Do you think these protests are going to evolve over time?
Into a
What are your
greater
thoughts?
movement, or into a greater movement, or different types of protests? I don't know if I fully understand the question. What I would ask is whether or not that we would want to care so much about police brutality, criminal justice reform a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now, to which we translate that into always constantly being aware of our surroundings and news stories and voting to reform those matters through certain candidates. That is how I would want the protest to sort of morph into. I wouldn't want them to sort of stop being protests and then also people stop caring about that particular issue. At least that's how I would want it to be looked at.
All right. What about you, Jose? Do you see any change coming? Would you like to see change coming with the protests?
I mean, as far as change, I mean, if it's going to be positive change, there's always room for that, and that's always welcomed. I mean, if we're going to be going in the change sector, but we're going to go in a negative way, we're not going to get anything accomplished. Just like we haven't got anything accomplished all these years with the problems with citizens and the police. You know, we have to finally stop talking about, you know, what the problem is. We already know what the problem is. We've already identified the problem. You know, we just got to get something in place that's going to fix the problem and adhere to it so that there isn't such animosity when it comes to the citizens and the police.
Interesting. One of the things about America, when I look at America's history, is we've made change. America has made change after protests. You know, we can go back as far as the Boston Tea Party. It wasn't a dance party. It wasn't a tea party. We were drinking tea. You know, it was it was violent. It was destruction of property. There were people who were killed. There were bad words used. There were in-your-face politics. There are a lot of things that happen. And when I look at America's history, we've always had changes after some level of civil unrest. And I really think that's part of America's fabric. I hate to see it happen, but unfortunately, I don't think that we would have had the arrest of the original officer, nor the arrest of the other 3 officers, if it wasn't for the police station being burned down. I think it would have been business as usual. I really do.
You may also have a similar situation when it came to Ahmaud Arbery. Remember that happened in February, and the arrest of those individuals were months later. And that was only because we had a big uproar of, after having seen the video, we suddenly wanted to do something. So we pushed the effort to happen, and then government responded. It wasn't like the government was good from the get-go. Hence why we say situations like this are systemic in nature that need to be fixed from the top all the way to the bottom.
I'm just hoping something gets resolved by it.
Yeah.
Because it's far due.
Well, at this point, we've had the arrest of all 4 of those offending officers. I also think that EMT, who was first on the scene, should be disciplined for not providing care when he had the opportunity to provide care. I would love to see the reworking of Philando Castile's case. I would. I know we're going to continue pushing for the arrest and the eventual conviction of the officers who killed Breonna Taylor. But the unfortunate piece is it's like a sometimes people don't pay attention until they're forced to pay attention.
Exactly.
Right. And I think all of this could have been right. So Merle hasn't come back on yet. Oh man, and I'm really kind of disappointed. Merle has some really interesting thoughts that I think are worth considering when we look at Virginia's next governor. Because let me see, our current governor cannot run for a second term. Is that true?
Only if he sits out a term. We have the ability to have multiple terms. It's just you can't run it consecutively.
Okay.
Which is weird. I think we're the only state that does that.
Okay, now we got things back.
There we go.
We are 100%.
And there also is the option of Justin Fairfax. Let's see. So Merle, you look a lot better this time. How do you sound, man? How does everything sound this time? You sound good?
It sounds perfect. This was exactly the way I wanted it to go on the right phone. I had to change my sets. I had some with the block and audio with the camera. So now we back to normal. Hopefully y'all can hear me and we can get this show started.
Yeah, man.
All right, brother Conrad.
Can y'all hear me?
Over? We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So first question,
great.
Conrad.
Why the governor race in 2021? What was your inspiration?
My inspiration was, one, God put me into this race. He called me by the ear. He said that these leaders are not doing his business. And 2, at the same time period, I felt that too many politicians was lying to people and not getting the job done. Running on campaigns, and once they get in the office, they're doing something entirely different. Right now, we've seen our gun rights being taken. We've seen religious rights being brainstormed. We are in a lockdown now, and leadership is basically saying that they can't get the job done. So that's why I'm in this race, because somebody has to have backbone and spine to make the tough decisions, to make sure that America is becoming America again. And of course, that Virginia has stable, solid leadership to make sure we get out of this crisis. I'm kind of tired of these politicians blowing smoke up everybody else, not me. I'm here to deliver on my promises I want to make sure Virginia becomes great again, and there's only one man who's able to get that job done, and that's me.
Jose. I think you're muted.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Conrad. All right. The governor position will have all eyes on you, and passion will serve you well. You also have an air of anti-politician. Some have said there's no business as usual with you, that playtime is over, and you're not a so-called typical pro-Trump and Second Amendment candidate. What's unique about all that for you?
Some reason.
There you go. We can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me? It said my mic was muted for some reason.
Yeah,
okay, number one. Okay, can you ask that question again? I want to make sure I heard it correctly. I'm sorry for you to repeat that. I just want to make sure I hear it correctly.
No problem. No problem. The governor position will have all eyes on you, and passion will serve you well. You also have an air of anti-politician. Some have said there's no business as usual with you, that playtime is over, and you're not a so-called typical pro-Trump and Second Amendment candidate. What's unique about all that for you?
Well, to me, number one, I understand what Trump is going through. He's doing a great job. He's just not getting the recognition because so many people are trying to call or paint him as a racist. He has done a lot more for the black community than Obama and the rest of those presidents. He has also funded an increased amount, way more than Obama in his last 8 years for HBCUs. He has freed federal prisoners who had stayed locked up under Obama, freed them so they can have a second chance on life. He also done tax reform, and I'm always looking at the underdog. At first, me and Trump didn't get along, but I had to get a chance to get to know him. I understood his story. I understood that he went the hard way. And so when I took the time to evaluate him, I saw a lot in President Trump that's in me. And what I would say about that, when the media tries to discredit you, when you're doing a good job, when it's a bunch of fake news out there and you still get the job done and you don't get the credit that you deserve, but you always have supporters that always see through the truth. So when I look at President Trump, he's taking the hard calls. He's in a pandemic, but he hasn't broken. He has stood up and handled leadership, even with the riots. So to him and me, I'm used to going ahead and going up against opposition and not turning the other way and confronting it. That's President Trump. He directly tells people the way it is, and that's just the way I am. The only difference between President Trump and me is basically that we both, on the other hand, we love telling it like it is, but at the same time frame, President Trump is continuing to handling American business. Now it's my job. That's why I said the difference for me to handle Virginia's business. Now, as far as 2A, you brought that up. The Second Amendment. I'm a Castle Doctrine. I love it. I believe we should be able to protect our home and our property and our family from any intruder and not play apple to oranges with prosecutors who decide to prosecute us for protecting our home and our family from reasonable fear of our safety. I believe black, white, yellow, Hispanic. I want everybody to be armed and ready for anything that comes their way, especially when they're releasing criminals out into the streets. And we are seeing it today with these riots and more, that a lot of these criminals are reoffending, and I believe that everybody should have the right to defend themselves, especially women, especially when they had those restraining orders. And we keep seeing it on the news every single day where somebody has went back, an ex-boyfriend, whatever, has went back and killed somebody. And we are all there for the funeral, but what would have happened if that one was trained with a firearm ready to go ahead and confront and make sure that problem was no longer a problem? The situation like these, they're not just killing them, they're killing the kids. So when you got somebody acting like that, it's the best thing to make sure that we are all trained, law-abiding, and prepared, because just in case something happens like that. But the thing is, we got to make sure we are ready. And I'm also all about the stand your ground law. I want to fix law. I want to make sure that people do not have to run or retreat. We deserve America deserves and Virginia deserves the right to make sure that they are not in reasonable fear of their life and that they are protected. So I'm all about it. Forget the race baiting and all that other stuff. I want it to be down the line, straight to the point. We should not have to retreat and then come back out and be surprised with somebody trying to shoot us. We need to be able to be prepared to defend ourselves and our family. We live in a different type of world. So I'm all for the Second Amendment. I'm going to protect it. I'm going to add additional protections. I want people who are breaking the governor's gun control laws, I'm going to give them a partner. I'm the only politician that's saying basically, I'm going to defend your right to defend yourself. It's about just like you. You may have somebody kicking your door. What do you want? Butter knife, or do you want a shotgun ready for that person who's coming in with guns? You want to protect your family too. You don't want to be prosecuted because you protected your family. And we see it all too far often here in Virginia. And we're going to make sure it's fair. It's not going to be based off your color. It's going to be based off the content of your character and the situation that you're in. I don't believe you should be surprised and figure out whether this criminal is going to try to give you life or take your life. You need to make sure you are ready to go, locked and loaded.
Wow. Okay.
I'm all for all races being locked and loaded.
All right. Andrea Dixon says he is a true conservative, 100% conservative. Intriguing. We'll have to talk more about some of those issues. But right now, while some of our politics might differ.
One more thing. I want a state-recognized gun, because we saw all those gun control laws that they tried to pass. I want to make sure we are a constitutional carry state. Forget those permits and stuff like that. A man and woman's gun is their business, and that's my motto. And I believe that we should have a right to a firearm, long as we are law-abiding, long as we use it for what it's purpose for. We shouldn't have people being prosecuted for the mere possession of a firearm just because it so happened to be in the glove box, but not used in a commission of a felony. I want a constitutional carry. I want people to be able to know. In Virginia, you can protect yourself.
You know, that's intriguing, because there have been a lot of people who are locked up currently because they had a firearm in the vehicle and it wasn't used in the activity of a crime, but they're behind bars right now. And it's really intriguing that you would say that. All right, well, let me get back to my question. Hey, well, look, some of our politics might differ, but I'll note that you have an admitted history of working on issues that impact low and middle class families. So you've worked with the NAACP and the Urban League, and as governor, you'll have tremendous power if awarded the position over the final result of the state's year-by-year budget, and even a veto pen. And your advocate voice will also be key. So I'm curious what you may want to influence on the topic of low to middle income families in Virginia. How do you want to help the low and middle income families in Virginia?
Well, that's the good thing about me. My policies represent everybody. I'll represent from the dinner table all the way up to the boardroom. Now, one of my first policies is to actually get rid of the credit checks that go on in employment. When you're looking for a job and you got the skill, you should be able to get that job. You shouldn't have to have a credit check in state or even in private business to get that job. Your skills should get you that job, and of course, a reasonable criminal background check. I want to also get rid of the marijuana fines that they have. See, they legalized marijuana, but they still left a fine. We are losing tax revenue over this. I have farmers out here that's talking about they want to grow hemp, but they worried about the government regulating them or charging them with a crime. We need to get rid of marijuana being a fine or a criminal penalty in general. I want people to be able to also have help if they have seizures. I want people to be able to use marijuana recreationally. We got opiate epidemic, and all the counselors who I talked to said, if we have marijuana legalized, we can stop a lot of these opiate epidemics from happening, because a lot of people will choose cocaine because it doesn't show up in the drug test, because marijuana shows up months later and locks them up for 30, 60 days. I think it's ridiculous. We are paying too much to lock people up for marijuana. I also want to get marijuana off that nice little checklist for those who have guns and firearms, because they say, oh, if you smoke marijuana, you can't shoot a firearm. Last time I checked, you're able to drive a car. You should be able to have a firearm. And if you smoke marijuana, whether it's to keep you calm or whether you have seizures or whatever reason that you use, as long as you law-abiding and ain't breaking no other laws, I want that done. And also, I want your records expunged. We have caused a lot of damage throughout this time frame for low income and middle income people, based off the fact they have simple possession of marijuana and can't get benefits. So what happens? They go to crime based off the fact of some incident when they was young and got caught with marijuana. I want to end that part. I want to expunge those records, and I want to make sure those people who are in jail based off of marijuana to get out of jail, or the sentence reduced if marijuana was used as a factor. I want people to go back to work. I want them not to be dependent on the government. And with stuff like this, it makes them dependent on the government. And this leads to people committing crimes when there's nowhere else to go. We need to make sure that we are leveling the playing field. We don't have to give out jobs like affirmative action, but people have the skills for these jobs, and they have stupid red tape that's holding them back. Let's get Virginia back to work. That's how I help the low and middle income. I want them to be dependent. I want them to have wealth. And the best way to do that is make sure they are educated, informed, have trade jobs, offering more skills like vocational schools and more for those who really trying to earn and work. And so many that would love to. And we gotta cherish that and motivate them. But we can't do everything for them. We gotta give them the door. They got to walk through it. So like I said, if they believe in God and have that faith, we're going to make that happen for them. But at the same time, we got to still be hard on crime. But there's certain things, like I said, with firearms, people having mere possession left in the glove box and the cops decided to go ahead and charge them. We have done so much to screw that up. And that's why I want to offer a second chance program for expungements, not judicially, but administratively, meaning once they've met those conditions, it automatically goes into play. Like DC has a great program working after 7 years, you don't have to report certain type of crimes. We want to make sure not only you don't have to report it, but if you earned the right for that second chance, let's get rid of that record. Let's give you a real second chance and a real chance to go ahead and correct what you were doing back in the day and show America that it still works for everybody. We understand a mistake, but we can definitely do something to show that we cherish hard work. And that sends the message to any other youth out there. If they make a mistake, you got a second chance. How many mothers and fathers would love to tell their kids that you got a second chance on life?
You know what?
Especially for some shoplifting.
Speaking of second chances, can we give hold on. We want to give Jose his second chance to ask a question.
Yo, okay, I'm sorry about that. You got me riled up there. I just want to make sure people know they got real, not so typical.
Wow. All right. My next question. I don't know if I want to ask the next question. we only got but so much. We only got but so much time. All right. The next question. A cultural and societal movement has recently sprung up after the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. We're watching daily news of protests, aggressive government responses, and even have an expedited movement from Richmond and state governments to take down Confederate statues and monuments. If you were governor now, how would you tackle issues like the statues, the protests, and criminal justice reform?
Okay, first off, I'm gonna go with the statues because that's a big deal right now. I'm gonna answer that quick. I would not be touching history. I'm a big history buff. Good or bad history, we gotta remember that, or we are doomed to repeat it. Realistically, you take down one part of history, what is going to stop them from taking away your history when they find it convenient? All we are doing is setting the precedents. And for me, I'm thinking 5 steps ahead of time. When all this Confederate monument talk got done, it was a lot of African American statues like Michael Jackson, more based off allegations, not stuff proven in court, that was taken down more than the Confederates. Confederate statues. Leave history alone. How many field trips are we going to cancel because they can't go to the museum? We have to teach history so they know not to repeat it. How are they going to know about racism if they don't know it exists? So we have to protect all history. History ain't going to hurt us. It will if we forget it.
If we don't learn from it.
Okay. And then you said the next part of that question. I think that was the jumbled up one.
All right. One was all right. So we hit the statues. Now the protests and the criminal justice reform.
Okay. One more thing on the statues. I'm going to make sure the statues is put right back up that they try to take down. So that ain't going to happen once I'm governor. How will I handle the protest? I believe in the right of peaceful protest, not rioting and looting that's been going on and murdering of people. People have used those protests from Antifa and the other liberal groups running out there, separating from the actual crowd, and then actually breaking windows and looting up businesses. We ain't going to have no more of that. I would put the hammer down on day one. When peaceful protest becomes a riot and looting fest, that becomes a problem to me. We decide then to put the police at those protests to protect peaceful protests and then handle those who do the riffraff. Had that been done, we wouldn't have had the riots, because those 1 or 2, 3 members that's running away from the crowd causing the problem would have been arrested then. It was a failure of leadership. It was a failure of leadership in Hampton. And I told the mayor about that and the rest of them. That's how you handle business. Keep peaceful protests, peaceful protests. Now, as far as criminal justice reform, I think I started on that part a little bit, where I was talking about the second chance program. Also, we got to start electing judges, not appointing them based off of campaign donations that we keep seeing all the time. We need open file discovery so the defense attorneys can see exactly what the prosecution has. We want fair trials, not unequal trials and ambush that keeps going on today. That's why people don't believe in the criminal justice system. And we got personal interest prosecutors out there. They ain't looking for justice. They're looking for a conviction because they don't like somebody. We have to get to the bottom of criminal justice. And I have a 15-point plan that I already posted up. I'm the only candidate in Virginia who has put out a criminal justice reform format that puts prosecutors and defense attorneys in equal position for justice. And that's the point. We want people held accountable. And also, I want those who did not get DNA testing that has been denied a guaranteed right of DNA testing. No more of these 30 to 40 year decade sentences before somebody gets out. And we are also honor the fact of that time and increase the cap for those who've been wrongfully in prison. There's no reason why you should get out of jail and come out with $5 and have to go through all that craziness after we know that you're innocent. There's too many people, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter, even low income, that doesn't get a fair trial. And we need to start doing that and holding people accountable. And also, I want to do 4 years where that exemption exists for body-worn cameras. If you're a subject of it, it must be released. If we're able to see murder on TV, we're able to see the evidence that proves our innocence immediately if we are subject to it. Also, at the same time period, like I said, with discovery rules, both sides have been both sides of the evidence. So it's so many different ways we can actually make for a fair and equal justice system. We just got to put action into it. And I don't think the other candidates out there is even ready for it. And I'm all about it. And that's why I'm the best candidate for the job.
Wow.
And I also put up a protest and riot form out there to let people know how I would handle the riot. I wouldn't treat my citizens like animals. If I treat them like animals, that's how they're going to behave. We could have handled and stopped out all this riffraff a long time ago. I don't play with the First Amendment. I'm a big advocate of the First Amendment and telling it like it is. So as far as I'm concerned, we're going to protect the First Amendment.
Merle's a writer. Conrad, next question, brother.
Well, I will admit we're nearing towards the ending part of the show, but I did want to throw this out because we like to blend business and politics here on the Beach Brothers. What would be one particular business you're either really fond of or really, really like in Virginia right now?
I'm a pizza person, so I'm a pepperoni pizza type of person. So I would say Christo's would be one of the best businesses where I get some New York style pizza. But also at the same time frame, I love the mom and pop shops as well. So if I see a good diner out there, like what is it, IHOP, but some other places that's similar, I'm going to stop up in there anyway. I think we have some of the greatest businesses here. We just got to bring more visitors and more citizens here and make sure that they know Virginia is your new home, especially military as well. So I would say off the break, those businesses are always the best ones to go to.
All right. Speaking of business, brother Jose, do you have another business you want to highlight?
Yes, sir, brother Seko. It's funny how Merle brings up that he likes pizza. Because my next
I don't think there's anything funny about Merle.
because my next shout out is to Big Apple Pizza. It's out in 928 Diamond Springs Road in Virginia Beach. You say you like New York style pizza, I'm gonna tell you right now, stop in there, you will not be disappointed. The pizza there is awesome. I'm from New York. It brings me back home. So like I said, stop in there, have your slice, and see Tariq, and tell him the Jose and the Beach Brothers sent you.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Brother Conrad, do I have time for a quick question? I know it's going to be hard to be quick with Brother Merle, but can I?
I think that's what happened.
Well, go ahead and ask. Let's fit it in. Let's fit it in.
All right, look, man. A lot of people run for office because they see things that they don't like. And you've been very eloquent with the things that you don't like. But what's happening good in the great state of Virginia? What do you see going well, brother?
Well, I can say the casinos coming here is going to bring in more jobs, and we're going to need it, especially after this type of crisis. I see uranium mining becoming a different type of tax revenue. If we allow that to happen, before I was against it, now I see more modern technology allowing for it. I plan on cutting business taxes by 15% because they've been dogged out during this time period, and nobody's gave businesses a plan on how to come back. So we're going to work hard on bringing small businesses back. We ain't going to be funding illegal immigration or those type of projects. We're going to start investing back in Virginia businesses, and Virginia coming first. So you're going to start seeing that under Merle Rutledge. That's the different type of Republican I am. But you guys know what he would do for businesses. But I could say we can fix everything here in Virginia. We just need the right type of leadership. And like I said, without that, we already mentioned that. So we got plenty of jobs, plenty of ways to make entrepreneurs. We just got to cut out some of the red tape that's holding people back and make sure that Virginia becomes not only the home of businesses, but also the military. The military has a lot of revenue that they can bring in, a lot of mentorship. And like I said, if something happens to one of their service members, we're going to take care of them. We're going to make sure they have a tax-free house that transfers down to their spouse. So if something happens, their spouse can be taken care of too. They made the ultimate sacrifice. So when we take care of the military, guess where the military is going to come back to? Virginia. And we need that here in Virginia. More law-abiding citizens, more mentors, more discipline. And guess what we're going to have? A better Virginia overall. So we got plenty of ways. We just got to go ahead and make it happen.
Interesting. You brought up the casino. I'm concerned about the casino for this reason. The Pamunkey tribe has disenrolled members of their tribe, members who had been members for generations. And it's interesting that the Pamunkey tribe has disenrolled the Indians who also share African ancestry, but they maintained the Pamunkey Indians that also share a European ancestry. So That's interesting. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that because I think the casino could be good, but the people who are bringing the casino need to get on code, need to do things the correct way. I know we have one last question from Conrad, and we'll go from there. Conrad, take his phone.
All right, my biggest concerns here in Virginia Beach regard flooding and transportation, and I would like to use state and federal funds to supplement the city budget to improve flood mitigation and improve Hampton Roads Transit bus transit for a bus transit system. As a governor, you would hold a lot of power over the budget. Would you perhaps veto or endorse the idea of more funding to fix flooding in the city and improve buses?
I'm all for fixing the flooding in the city. I saw the damage that can do for ordinary citizens, their cars, their homes, and everything else. But we're going to have oversight over it. We ain't going to have liberals just running around just spending money and wasting it. We want to make sure that there is a plan, a comprehensive plan to make sure that we can reduce flooding. It's of the utmost importance, especially with new hurricanes coming in and more. So we are going to fund that. And plus with the casinos, yes, I'll be all for funding more high-speed rail and doing more funding for that. We want people to have access to those businesses, especially with the new traffic. We don't want more traffic. We want to have ways to reduce that traffic. So let's make Hampton Roads work better. But by the local governments that they have here, we have to have oversight here at the state. I don't want no more wasted money. If it ain't fixing the problem, we ain't going to be spending a whole bunch of money on studies. They should have already done that with all the other money we have paid out already for how to fix flooding. So guess what? I'm going to actually fix flooding. I want construction done, and I want business handled. No excuses from me. I ain't going to complain. I'm going to get the job done, and I'm going to deliver. So yes to the flooding part, and yes, the high-speed rail after the casino is guaranteed to be here and is being built. Yes, for it, because we don't need no more traffic. I always hear about that crap.
Wow. Yo, Merle is snapping, y'all. Merle is snapping. We want to thank.
They ain't going to take a light on me. They ain't going to take a light on me. I can tell you that one. Being a Republican, coming in the way I am, the new Republican attitude, and it's going off the rails each and every time. They need to know somebody means business, and they can't be scared. They could get scared from the other people. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I guarantee it's going to get done.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've had our good friend of the show, Merle Rutledge, on. We want to thank you, Merle. Hold tight. And you've been watching the Beach Brothers show. You know, we're all residents of Virginia Beach, and we talk about Virginia Beach. We're all residents of Virginia Beach, and we talk about Virginia business and politics. So I'm Seko Varner, serial entrepreneur, educator, and entertainer. This guy right here is our comrade, Conrad, good beach brother. And this guy at the very end, 757 insurance person, that's Jose Cruz. All right. Oh, wow. We had a question, and I'm going to put this question up, and Merle, you can answer this after we get off the show. You can just go back onto Facebook or go to YouTube, and Merle, you can answer this question. Good friend, hey, Mike. That's from Mike, man. He's a friend of the Beach Brothers. How you doing, brother Mike? Yeah, we're going to have to break bread soon, Mike. We haven't seen you in a minute. All right, so you've listened and watched and experienced the Beach Brothers talk business and politics. If you're interested in being one of the guests on the show, talk to this guy right here, Conrad. If you're interested in having your business highlighted, like we highlighted that pizza parlor and we hired that tire company today, then talk to Jose Cruz at the end, and he'll make sure you get on the show. Any last words, gentlemen?
Get ready for phase 2, Virginia.
Jose, last words. Los palabras finales.
And he muted himself.
As we approach phase 2, I hope everything works out. Everything works out smoothly, and we can finally get Virginia back opened up and get the way it was.
Yeah, as long as we do it the safe way, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know it's
Do it the
never going to
same
be the way it was, but you know, we need to get back to business and back to business as usual.
All right. Hey, Conrad, book Merle again. This was an interesting conversation. I have a lot more I would love to ask him. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So we'll have to have him back. Once again, if you're interested in being on the show, get in contact with Conrad. And until then, stay beachy.